conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva. Text 1. Sut Vacha.
Mataji will say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Mataji 3 times.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 1. Sut Uvacha. Evam nishamya bhagvana devarshirjanma karma cha bhuya prapachyatam brahman vyasa satyavati sutaha.
Suta said, "O Brahmanas, thus hearing all about Sri Narada's birth and activities, Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God and son of Satyavati, inquired as follows."
Text 2. Vyasa uvacha bhikshubhirvipravasite vijnana dreshtabhistava vartamano vayasyadye tataha kim karot bhavan.
Sri Vyasadeva said, "What did you, Narada, do after the departure of the great sages who had instructed you in scientific transcendental knowledge before the beginning of your present birth?"
Text 3. Swayambhuvakaya vritya vartitam te param vayah katham chedamudastrakshi kale prapte kalevaram.
O son of Brahma, how did you pass your life after initiation, and how did you attain this body, having quit your old one in due course?
Text 4. Prakalpa vishayametam smritim te munasittamaha na yesha vyavatat kala esha sarva nirakritihi.
O great sage, time annihilates everything in due course. So how is it that this subject matter, which happened prior to this day of Brahma, is still fresh in your memory, undisturbed by time?
Text 5. Narado vacha bhikshubhirvipravasite vijnanadreshtabhirmama vartamano vayasyadye tata etadakarasham.
Sri Narada said, "The great sages who had imparted scientific knowledge of transcendence to me departed for other places, and I had to pass my life in this way."
Text 6. Ekatmaja me janani yoshin muda cha kinkari mayatmaje nanyagato chakre snehanubandhanam.
I was the only son of my mother, who was not only a simple woman but a maidservant as well. Since I was her only offspring, she had no other alternative for protection. She bound me with the tie of affection.
Text 7. Saswatantra na kalpasid yogakshemam mamechati ishasya hi vashe loko yoshadaru mai yatha.
She wanted to look after my maintenance properly, but because she was not independent, she was not able to do anything for me. The world is under the full control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, everyone is like a wooden doll in the hands of a puppet master.
Text 8. Aham cha tad brahma kule ushita vamstu dupekshaya dikdesha kala vivat utpanno balakaha panchahayanaha.
When I was a mere child of 5 years, I lived in a Brahmana school. I was dependent on my mother's affection and had no experience of different lands.
Text 9. Ekada nirgatam gehat duhantim nishigam pathi sarpo dashat padas prashtaha krapanam kala choditaha.
Once upon a time, my poor mother, when going out one night to milk a cow, was bitten on the leg by a serpent, influenced by supreme time.
Text 10. Tada tadahamishasya bhaktanam shamabhipsataha अनुग्रहं मन्यमानः प्रातिष्ठं दिशमुत्तराम्.
I took this as the special mercy of the Lord, who always desires benediction for his devotees, and so thinking I started for the north.
Text 11. Sfitanjanpadamstatra Purugrama Vrajakaraन् Khetakharvatavatischa Vanyanyupavanani cha.
After my departure, I passed through many flourishing metropolises, towns, villages, animal farms, mines, agricultural lands, valleys, flower gardens, nursery gardens, and natural forests.
Text 12. Chitradhatu vichitradrin Ibhabhagna bhujadruman Jalashayan divjalan Nalini surasevita Chitraswane partharater Vibhrad madhbramarashriyah.
I passed through hills and mountains full of reservoirs of various minerals like gold, silver, and copper, and through tracts of land with reservoirs of water filled with beautiful lotus flowers, fit for the denizens of heaven, decorated with bewildered bees and singing birds.
Text 13. Nalavenu sharastanba Kushakicak gahvaram Ek evati yatoham Draksham vipinam mahat Ghoram pati bhayakaram Vyalo loka shivajiram.
I then passed along through many forests of rushes, bamboos, reeds, sharp grass, weeds, and caves, which were very difficult to go through alone. I visited deep, dark, and dangerously fearful forests, which were the play yards of snakes, owls, and jackals.
Text 14. Parishrantendriyatmaham Tratparito bubukshitaha Snatva pitva hrade nadya Upasprashto gatashramah.
Thus traveling, I felt tired, both bodily and mentally, and I was both thirsty and hungry. So I took a bath in a river, lake, and also drank water. By contracting water, I got relief from my exhaustion.
Text 15. Tasmin nirmanujeranye Piplopastha ashrita Atmanatmanamatmastham Yata shrutamachintayam.
After that, under the shadow of a banyan tree in an inhabited forest, I began to meditate upon the supersoul situated within, using my intelligence, as I had learnt from liberated souls.
Text 16. Dhyayataschरणं भोजं भावनिर्जितचेतसा औत्कण्ठ्या शुक्रलाक्षस्य हृद्यासीन्मे शनैर्हरिः.
As soon as I began to meditate upon the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead with my mind transformed in transcendental love, tears rolled down my eyes, and without delay the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, appeared on the lotus of my heart.
Text 17. Premati bharanirvinna pulangotinivartaha ananda samplave lino napashyam ubhayam mune.
O Vyasadeva, at that time, being exceedingly overpowered by feelings of happiness, every part of my body became separately enlivened, being absorbed in an ocean of ecstasy. I could not see both myself and the Lord.
Text 18. Rupam bhagavato yattan Manah kantam shuchapaham apashyan sahato taste Veklavya durmana iva.
The transcendental form of the Lord, as it is, satisfies the mind's desire and at once erases all mental incongruities. Upon losing that form, I suddenly got up, being perturbed, as it usually when one loses that which is desirable.
Text 19. Ditrakshustadaham bhuya pranidhaya manoradi वीक्षमाणोऽपि नापश्यं वितृप्ता इवातुरः.
I desired to see again that transcendental form of the Lord, but despite my attempts to concentrate upon the heart with eagerness to view the form again, I could not see him anymore, and thus dissatisfied, I was very much aggrieved. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Neha Mataji and Jyoti Mataji. That was wonderful recitation. Just give me a moment. I have to open the slides. I haven't done so. Okay, are the slides, are they visible and am I audible?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, great. So we will start with the recitation. We'll start with the Manga and Prayers and you can recite with me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandhasya Gnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनीति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरु श्रीगुरु Hare Krishna. Okay, so and then Dina Karanam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram. We'll recite these verses also. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Shanvatan sa katha Krishna punya shramana kirtanaha rudyantya stoha pratrani vidunoti suratsatam nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttam shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki tatam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti rutkarna rasayana katha तज्जोषनादा शपवर्गवर्ध्वनि श्रद्धारतिर्भक्तिरनुक्रमिष्यति. So, welcome all the devotees. My humble obeisances to all the assembled devotees. I'm very happy to be given this opportunity today. Actually, Mondays it's His Grace Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu who enlightens all of us, but he has got some commitments for few Mondays actually. So one of us will be here to discuss. And just give me one moment. So today's verse is 1.6.3. Swayambhuva kaya vritya vartitam te param vayah katham chedam udasrakshihi kale prapte kalevaram. Synonyms. Swayambhuva, O son of Brahma. Kaya, under what condition? Vritya, occupation. Vartitam, was spent. Te, you. Param, after the initiation. Vaya, duration of life. Katham, how. Cha, and. Idam, this. Udashrakshihi, did you quit? Kale, in due course. Prapte, having attained. Kalevaram, body. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O son of Brahma, how did you pass your life after initiation? And how did you attain this body, having quit your old one in due course? It's a very small purport, so I'll read it. Sri Narada Muni in his previous life was just an ordinary maidservant's son. So how he became so perfectly transformed into the spiritual body of eternal life, bliss and knowledge is certainly important. Sri Vyasadeva desired him to disclose the facts for everyone's satisfaction. So we can see here that like we are still in a very beginning of this 6th chapter, and just to summarize very briefly that in the 5th chapter that we discussed the previous chapter, we have seen that how Narad Muni appeared in front of Vyasadeva and he inspired him to write Srimad Bhagavatam in such a way that it satisfies the hankering of spiritually elevated people, and B, secondly, it also mitigates the sufferings of common people or conditioned souls by showing them the path of Bhakti Yoga. So, and it also presents very elevated, exalted spiritual subjects, so that very advanced spiritualists who are very advanced in their bhakti also relish Srimad Bhagavatam. And at the same time, it is very relevant for everybody, whether a person is suffering the threefold material miseries in this material existence, or a person is sufficiently spiritually enlightened. Srimad Bhagavatam is relevant for everyone. And that's how Narad Muni instructed Vyasadeva to write Srimad Bhagavatam towards the end of 5th chapter. And also the conclusion of the 5th chapter is very much relevant with this verse. It's from the 2nd canto. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajete purusham param. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead. So, akama sarva kamova, whether somebody has all kinds of material desires or no material desires, moksha kama udaradihi, or specifically he is desiring liberation. Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajete Purushaparam. Srimad Bhagavatam and process of Bhakti Yoga prescribed in Srimad Bhagavatam is relevant for all. And so that's the conclusion of the 5th chapter. And then we enter 6th chapter. The heading is Conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva. So in this chapter, basically there are 6 parts. So first 4 verses, Vyasadeva inquires about Narada's life. 5 to 10 verses, Narada speaks about his mother's departure. 11 to 19, Narada's life, meditation, and vision of the Lord. 20 to 25, the Lord instructs and consoles Narada. And 26 to 33 is Narada's full protection. And 34 to 38, last few verses, Narada concludes and departs. So in this chapter, Vyasadeva asks Narad Muni questions. It starts by many questions here. And so the first 4 verses. He says, my dear Gurudev, you have told me in previous chapter, you have been enlightened by great sages, the Bhakti Vedantist, because of whose association you developed devotional service. And Narad Muni also got to serve them, eat their remnants, and assist them in their devotional practices and sit near them and hear Krishna Katha. That they are discussing, so Narad Muni got the blessings of the great souls. So after the monsoon period was over, these great sages instructed Narad Muni in the process of Bhakti Yoga, and then they departed, they went away. So yes, one does Shravanam, everyone hears Bhagavatam, everyone hears Krishna Katha, but what one does after that is more important, right? So here Vyasadeva asks Narad Muni, what have you done after the departure of the sages, and how has your life been after initiation, and how did you attain this body which is so spiritual, and how did you remember your past life, although people forget the past life? So although the past life is like only few years or decades ago, right? People may forget past life, but Narad Muni could remember his previous life, that whatever happened, that happened in the previous Kalpa or day of Brahma. So Vyasadeva is asking, how could you remember all the events? And these were some of the questions asked by Vyasadeva to Narad Muni. And Srila Prabhupada writes the brilliant purports. He gives so much enlightenment, and we have seen in the previous verse purports also. He says that this is how a disciple should be very eager to know about the spiritual master. And even we know, right, that annually, whenever there is spiritual masters Vyas Puja ceremony, all the disciples, they come together and they discuss the glories of the spiritual master. They recollect their nice enlivening spiritual interactions and their memories with their guru. And even on a regular basis also, devotees keep a track of activities of their spiritual master. What are the recent preaching endeavors that he's doing? And this is quite common. And also Srila Prabhupada in his Leelamrita, he mentions this, he says that how he would go to the Gaudiya Math whenever possible for him, and he would ask the other disciples of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he would ask them about the recent activities of our spiritual master. And so Srila Prabhupada says this is Saddharma Prucha, and it means that being very eager to know about the activities of the spiritual master. And this is a very important quality of a disciple. And Srila Prabhupada himself did it, and he's writing also in his purports. So here Vyasadeva is becoming very eager to know about the activities of Narad Muni, because a spiritually enlivened or elevated person naturally has lot of love for Krishna. And the way the great souls have come in contact with Krishna, the way these exalted devotees, they render service to Krishna and perform their bhakti yoga will become a very wonderful instruction for all of us. Also, because this is how Narad Muni had spent his life after initiation. So Vyasadeva feels, let me take some inspiration from him. Let me also practice bhakti in this way. So great souls are very exemplary in their character, and knowing how they perform their devotional service will help us also to intensify our practice of bhakti. So with this intention, Vyasadeva asked Narad Muni, what has been your practice and how did you pass your life after initiation? So these first four verses are, simply the questions here. And I'm just looking for the slide here. Yeah. So Narad Muni responded to Vyasadev's questions, and Srila Prabhupada also would speak about his own practice of bhakti, to his American disciples. Like he would speak to them, and he would also, and the disciples would also ask him many questions. So he was eager to know about his spiritual master, like how Srila Prabhupada was eager to know about Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In the same way, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada were also always eager. So this shows, like in the Guru Shishya Parampara, how Vyasadeva is asking about the life of Narad Muni. And so yeah, once Srila Prabhupada was telling his American disciples about his Guru Maharaj Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he would tell them that how my Guru would apply tilak, and he would do so without using a mirror. And so the disciples would also ask, because they were innocently asking the American disciples, did it come out neat if there was no mirror, like that. So, and they would innocently ask, and Srila Prabhupada would say, yes, yes, it was nice. So, like that, even small things done by the exalted personality is a great source of inspiration. So Vyasadeva is very eager to know about Narad Muni's past initiation ceremony. And so here we can also see that after the Bhakti Vedanta is left, and then now what did Narad Muni do? And Vyasadeva, he is disciple of Narad Muni, and it's very natural for him to be inquisitive about Narad Muni and inquire what he did. And he wanted to follow in his footsteps. He wants to hear about spiritual master, because he wants to follow and increase his appreciation about his spiritual master, and he wants to worship him and have reverence for him more and more. So with the desire to inquire about spiritual master, he did so, and this is a very essential, it's very essential for the progress in any disciple's life, for his spiritual path. And this is what is called Sadharma Pracha. So all these questions are very, very relevant, very enlivening for all of us, because here also Prabhupada says in the purport that he did so for the benefit of others also, right? Because he wants all of us also to get enlightened. And sometimes what happens is that spiritual master, if he feels that if I reveal these things, and if that's going to be beneficial to my disciple, he will do so, although if he himself made some mistakes, he will still share those activities. Like those activities might be done when he was not at his current stage, but he will not hide those from him, from the disciples, because those apparent mistakes also, if he feels that they are beneficial for my disciples, he will share those things. So we can say in Srimad Bhagavatam, like earlier in the class, how Swayam Bhagwan Keshav Maharaj was also telling us that how the characters of Bhagavatam and pastimes, we learn so much from it. And all the instances, they are for our benefit to learn from. So if we see any mistakes happening in those pastimes also, we can learn from them without having to go through making those mistakes, that we can learn, oh, this happened with this exalted personality, great soul, this can happen with me also, let me be careful, let me be attentive in my bhakti, in my sadhana. And so like for example, and thus inquisitiveness is very good to find out all these things, that how I can become a better devotee, speaking about myself. So finding out about the spiritual master and great souls is a great way to learn. Even we've seen in Prahlad Maharaj's life that his classmates, they were asking him that you are a son of a demon, and you are also, Hiranyakashipu, and you are also living in this Gurukul. You are also students of Shanda and Amarka, and so much about the soul. So how is this possible? How did you get this knowledge? So, there they were also asking like Vyasadeva. And Prahlad Maharaj said that I came to know about this knowledge from my birth when I was in the womb of my mother. Narad Muni came and he instructed me, and because my mother was kidnapped by Indra and others, so in this way, one is interested in knowing about the teacher from whom one is learning, and that is very natural that one wants to know more about the Guru. And even Rahugan asked about Jad Bharat, right? He asks him when he's carrying the palanquin and he's trying to stop stepping on the ends, and then when Rahugan initially gets angry with him and later on finds out that this is a great soul and he wants to find out everything about him, and he asks him, who are you, and he wants to take the knowledge from him. So, and even Lord Ram and Lakshman asked about Vishwamitra's previous life. So Vyasadev also desired that Narad Muni discloses the facts for everyone's satisfaction. And within Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear that Vyasadev was despondent. He was thoroughly chastised by Narad Muni in the beginning, right? And within Srimad Bhagavatam, we see Narad Muni's life as son of maid servant, right? And then within Bhagavatam, we also find Narad Muni's life as Upabarhana. We had discussed in one of the earlier sessions that how he was a Gandharva and he went with some girls to Prajapati's Sankirtan party, and he sang something else and then he got cursed. And so within Bhagavatam, also there are so many mistakes that we hear of that are made by Indra or Bharat Maharaj. We know the deer episode, his compassion, how it led him to get entangled by Maya. And we know about Chitraketu, it comes in the 6th canto. And Lord Shiva himself, he became inquisitive about Mohini Murti's form. And Supreme Lord told him that it's not for you, and I exhibited it for certain purpose. But Lord Shiva said that I'm very curious to see that form. So apparently the apparent mistakes of great souls are recorded in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam also. And these souls were not uncomfortable when their mistakes are being discussed. And in Bhagavatam, these things will be discussed. Like, for example, now we are discussing, and it's after over 5,000 years ago. So these great souls allowed them to be discussed by so many generations for thousands and thousands of years in future, because if by discussing these people, it will improve us in our spiritual lives, then these great souls have no objection. They say we are not what people, we are not attached to our image. They are not attached to what people think about them. So we are attached to bringing more and more people close to Krishna. So anything for Krishna consciousness. Narad Muni was sitting right in the audience, when Shukdev Goswami is narrating the Bhagavatam, and Narad Muni is hearing when Shukdev Goswami is narrating the pastimes of Uparhana and his mistake and the entire story. So at that time, Narad Muni did not get uncomfortable, or he did not look around or say that, oh, such and such part should be edited and why are you speaking all this? He didn't say that. So yeah, he did not say any of that. So and even Lord Shiva, after being thoroughly embarrassed by Mohini Murti, he was telling Parvati that, see, my Lord can even humiliate me also. And he was feeling very proud of Supreme Lord, that he was not feeling embarrassed that Mohini Murti was running like that. And she went into the hermitage of some sages there, and where there were the devotees of Lord Shiva himself, these bhaktas, and in front of his devotees, how Mohini Murti humiliated me. No, he didn't say she embarrassed me, she put me in such awkward condition. But he immediately remembered the glories of the Lord only. So they become instruments to spread the glories of the Lord, and they are extremely happy to be part of that. So great souls do not become overwhelmed by protecting their own image. They don't mind sharing their own mistakes also to others. And if these things are beneficial to others, yes. And he wanted him to disclose all the facts. This is the reason of Vyasadev's asking so many questions. So that people learn from others' mistakes and come closer to Krishna. That is the main intention of all these inquiries. And even Chitraketu, he made mistakes, and he was cursed by Mother Parvati. Parikshit Maharaj, he put a snake, like a garland of snake around Shamik Rishi, right? So one should learn lessons for one's life from the mistakes of great souls without minimizing their position, which is extremely important. That's the most important consciousness that the reader should have, or hearer of Bhagavatam should have, that we get to read apparent mistakes of so many great souls, but one should learn from them and not repeat them. So whatever they have done, I should not repeat, but one should never minimize their position mentally ever. And that is the main purport, that even Parikshit Maharaj, he remains a great soul, although he garlanded a snake on the Rishi. And Chitraketu remains pure soul, a great devotee, although he made a mistake of giving feedback to a superior Vaishnava, right? We know Chitraketu gives feedback to Lord Shiva. We know, right, how when Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati were sitting together, he gives a feedback. So, and you do not do that to a superior Vaishnava, but that is done. And from there, that mistake, there were so many things that comes out for us to learn. So these pastimes are extremely enlivening. There are so many lessons from each pastime of Bhagavatam, and all these starts with enquiries. So that is the main point of this first section, how Vyasadeva inquires about his spiritual master Narada Muni's life. And this is how we will not repeat like what Chitraketu did or other great souls did, but we will never ever disrespect them. And without disrespecting or minimizing position of a Vaishnava, we learn from the mistakes of a Vaishnava and try to apply them in our own lives. So this is how Srimad Bhagavatam, enlightens all of us and gives us so many lessons to be learned. So basically, this first section is all about inquiries and these 4 questions. The first one from the first verse is, hearing about Narad Muni's birth and activities, Vyasadeva inquired further. He says, what did you do after the departure of the Bhakti Vedantis who instructed you? He asks, how did you pass your life after initiation and how did you attain this body? And tomorrow's verse, the last question will be discussed tomorrow, so I will not touch upon that. So yes, now it's 8:39 and we had said that we will conclude at 8:45. So it's very good timing. If there is no comments or questions, then we can definitely end the meeting. But if there is anything anyone wants to share, then we have few minutes. Please go ahead. Please forgive my mistakes. Whatever I spoke today is for my own purification, for my own learning. And thank you for allowing me to speak. So it's for my purification. And thank you for the audience. And I'm sure you're all disappointed that His Grace Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu is not here, but he wants me for few Mondays and one of us will cover, as I said earlier, and then Prabhuji will be back as usual. So yes, any comments, question? Okay, so recitation was very nice. There's a message there. Okay, fine. Hare Krishna, thank you so much. We'll conclude here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.